We believe in people we trust. We believe people we're friends with. Shut up and start listening. We believe, let them know, oh, I have to, oh my God, that's Peter Shankman. Go talk to him.
Welcome to the Smart Brand Marketing Podcast with your host, Tom, the Digital Architect Liebelt. Are you tired of spending money on marketing efforts that produce little or no results? Unable to decide whether internet marketing is right for your business? Want to take your brand to the next level but are unsure of what steps to take next? Hey, you're not alone. Join thousands of others in their pursuit of growing a profitable business and learning actionable strategies on how they can outperform brands that are older, bigger, and stronger.
Hey guys, welcome to the Smart Brand Marketing Podcast. This is the first episode, and I will not be talking about myself. If you guys do want to look at the bio, it's on the page, the About Me page on smartbrandmarketing.com, so have fun, enjoy that. Let's go over a different topic, and it's one that I just finished speaking about on a mastermind. Why we do things. The person asked a question. Should I follow the money or should I follow the passion? A lot of the gurus say follow the passion and things will happen for you. You'll have a great life, you'll love what you're doing, and money will follow. I think that's, first of all, the wrong question to even ask. And it's one of those things where if you do ask that question, you'll start asking other bad questions, such as, what about the competition? There are a lot of people doing this already. Or, am I good enough? Will I have something unique to bring to the conversation? But once again, wrong question. In order to create something like I'm doing with this podcast, the first thing you need to do is ask yourself why you're doing it. What is the point? If there is no point to it, that's when all those other weird questions that lead you to nowhere will come up. Once you do figure out why you're doing something, then everything else will fall into place. Now, I want to distinguish between something else, and that is motivation, inspiration, and desire. Now, motivation is great when you wake up in the morning and you feel motivated to clean your house, because that only takes a couple hours. You might actually knock it out. Motivation is not a good reason to start a podcast or a business, because once that motivation wears off, and the first time you hit a roadblock, what happens then? Same with inspiration. You can get inspired to do something. Like I can get inspired to start a new company that will compete with Legos, but after the inspiration, and what? There are probably like 5 or 10 years of actual work that will have to go into it, and inspiration is not going to get you there. Now, desire is a good one. Let's say you've been broke for so long, and you just have a really strong desire to not be broke. That actually could work, especially if the desire is strong enough. But the one that really works for me is pain. Now, one of the reasons I started this podcast is because I hate answering the same question over and over and over again. And I have a consulting business, an SEO agency, and a Kindle publishing business, and a lot of clients and people I just talk to, they ask me the same things over and over and over again. So I figured if I start this podcast and if I make some really good material with some really good reference points, I will tell them where to look and not have to answer them. So when someone asks me about on-page SEO, marketing in general, or podcasting, or getting in the media, I can simply point them to the podcast that speaks about that topic. But that's really the point. And that pain made me actually want to create this. And the pain is strong enough, and there are enough topics and questions to go around where I can keep doing this forever. That's kind of what I wanted to distinguish here, is why are you actually doing what you're doing? And if you're getting frustrated, or your brain is all over the place, you're following different people, looking at different companies and saying like, well, he's doing this, he's doing that, maybe I could be like him or her. Well, the thing is, like, figure out why you are doing it. If you want clarity in your life and in anything that you're pursuing at the moment, figure out why you actually want to do it in the first place. And I guarantee all the other blocks will fall into place. You'll find the right people to help you. You'll find the right material to teach you what you need to know, and you will network much, much more efficiently once you actually know your reason for networking. And speaking of networking, I have a guest today. He is one of the best guys when it comes to public relations, so I hope that I can get some really good bits of information from him that help small businesses like ours also get in front of the media, because I know it's one of the hardest things to do. Unless you hire a public relations team, but it's going to cost a fortune, so let's bring in Peter Shankman. Peter, you help people, companies, and brands be better, be nicer, and make more money. A lot of smaller businesses don't have much of a budget. How can they apply that thinking to their marketing?
Well, a lot of companies, when they start to market, they think, oh, I have to follow this tremendous plan and spend all this money on advertising and PR. And the first thing I tell companies to do, and this doesn't cost them a penny, is to shut up and start listening. Too many companies focus on marketing as a way for them to talk about how great they are and how awesome everything is, blah, blah, blah. But the problem with that is that when you talk, you're not listening. So you wind up talking to a lot of people that may or may not be listening to you. The best advice I can give is to listen to what other people are saying long before you ever say anything. Find out where your audience is, find out what they're talking about, find out how they like to get their information, all of these things before you start shouting out how great you are. Let them know that you're listening and you care about what they want. And if you do it right and combine that with like great customer service and a great customer experience, they're going to wind up doing your PR for you.
Let me ask you a more strategic question though. So let's say I'm a mechanic. There's like 10 mechanics around me as a small business owner. And I want to listen to people, but no one really, I guess, knows about me. They're not talking to me. How do I get them to talk to me in the first place without telling them I'm the best, come to me, and then I'll listen to you?
Okay, so you're a mechanic.
Yeah.
You want to reach your customers. Well, you have customers already coming in. The biggest problem that people have is they spend so much time focusing on getting new customers that they forget to pay attention to the customers they already have. But it actually costs 8 times more to get a new customer than it does to keep the customers you have.
Okay.
And so the best advice there is focus on doing great things for the customers you have. They will tell the customers you want how great you are, and the customers you want will come to you. If you have 10 clients, 10 customers, create such an amazing experience for those 10 customers that they will bring you 15 customers each one. Best way to describe it, if I go into a bar and I see a woman there and I say, hey, I'm awesome. I'm great in bed. You should come home with me. She's probably going to throw her drink in my face and go back to talking to her friend.
Probably.
As a matter of fact, I know that's what she's going to do. I've done tremendous research on this.
Okay.
But if I'm sitting there just hanging out on my own and she's with her best friend notices me and says, oh my God, that's Peter Shankman. You should go talk to him. I've heard such great things. He's amazing. Da, 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 da. I'm probably going to get her number.
Yeah, more likely.
We believe in people we trust. We believe in people we're friends with. We covet who we know.
That's the whole social thing, right? But for a mechanic, though, how do you make such a great experience? So let's say you're just doing oil changes. How do you make such an experience happen that people talk that way, right? So when I come into a bar, like, oh, that's my mechanic, man. You should really...
Hey, I did your oil change, and while I was doing your oil change, I noticed that your fan belt timer was loose. I tightened it up for you, and you should save a couple of dollars per gallon now on your fuel. No charge, just wanted to be of help.
Okay, I see the point now. Because usually when I go to a mechanic, they just want to upsell me for every little thing, like every little thing.
Right. The key is to stop upselling and start helping. When you start helping, people want to buy more from you.
But how much help should you give, though? Because, I mean, if you just do all these things for free, though, that's probably what people are thinking now. Who's going to buy from me, right? No,
actually, it doesn't work like that.
Yeah.
If I know that you care, I'll bring my car to you and I will give you all my business. Not because I want more stuff, but because I trust you.
Okay.
I trust you're not going to try to screw me. I trust you're going to do something awesome. And I trust that you're going to care. So
the concept of trust, that's what we're really selling here, by helping.
It always comes back to trust.
Okay. That would work for every, I guess, industry at that point, right?
About it. Every single industry.
But you mentioned that keeping a customer is, 8 times cheaper than finding a new one. Can you kind of go into that? Like, where do you get that number?
I've actually done research on this. CEOs, for instance, 88% of all CEOs believe their customer service is amazing. Only 8% of their customers think the same thing. So there's a disconnect there.
There's a big disconnect. Why do you think that is?
Because I think that CEOs are like, oh yeah, we're doing a great job because they're insulated. They live in these silos and they don't hear this stuff.
It kind of reminds me of like the quants and the whole hedge fund thing. When the whole economy was going down, they were just looking at their little, numbers and programs, not understanding what's going on. Yeah, it's kind of what it seems
Exactly.
like. Recently, though, you've sent some people home for the holidays. So you kind of, you pretty much took some action. You don't just preach this stuff. Can you kind of explain the reasoning behind that? Was it like a PR stunt, or why did you do that?
Now, for me, I mean, that's not even about sales or anything. For me, that's just about the fact that I have the ability to do well. I have I've gotten very lucky in my life. I've done very well. And I believe that you need to remember where you come from, and it is imperative that you give back. I grew up in New York City. I'm a public school kid, nothing special. And for me, it's very important to be able to give back.
I think that's awesome. I mean, the coolest thing I've noticed too is once you did it, a couple bigger companies also, they kind of said, well, we'll help too. I think they did more for publicity, but was it like JetBlue, right? And a couple other ones, or?
JetBlue, and then a bunch of people came in privately and donated funds as well. Yeah, it was pretty amazing. I'm sure there was a part of JetBlue that said, hey, we're going to get some free press out of this and it's going to look good. But at the end of the day, 25 people got to go home and see their families who otherwise wouldn't have. So for me, that's just a complete win.
I think it's amazing. I mean, you jump-started the whole thing. So I thought it was great. But just seeing, when a bigger company like that came in, I was like, well, if almost anyone else just did something like that and put it on Twitter, we would never get JetBlue to come in. So I'm just kind of thinking, like, how did you get in the position where those companies follow you?
I think it comes from always wanting to talk to people, always, never being afraid to express my opinion, always sharing information. And the more you do that, the more people take note. If the information you're sharing is valuable, the more people take notice of you.
Yeah, but I mean, how can a small business get someone like a bigger company like that to take notice? Like, are there any steps you can do? Like, is there like a formula for this?
I think a lot of it is really about being transparent. A lot of it is about really being truthful. Again, the better you are at knowing your audience and giving them information that they want, the more likely they are to retweet you, to reshare you. Remember, the power of Twitter is not to tell people how great you are. The power of Twitter lies in the ability to get retweeted.
Right.
So if you're sending good information to people, they will share it.
Yeah, I mean, in that way, I think every company can kind of... I mean, there are some industries that are kind of dry, though. Like maybe more technical. What kind of things can they really share that normal people or media will pick up on?
What about something as simple as writing a blog post on the top 5 ways to keep your password secure?
Okay, I got you.
Share what you know. Share the information you know. There are people out there who don't know it, and to them, you're a hero. Well, I've written a couple of books. That's helped tremendously. People tend to share information from people they trust. And so the more people trust you, the more willing they are to believe what you have to say. And the more likely they are to call you when they need something.
I completely agree. I'm just thinking, when I speak to a lot of the small business owners as an SEO guy, and they talk about marketing and things, they always ask me, how do I get myself on the news? How do I get on TV?
I hate to say this, I hate to pimp out my former company, but joining helpreporter.com is a great way to start.
I think that's a really great way to do it too, but...
Look, everyone is knowledgeable about something. It's about making that connection between the right people.
People look for, a magic bullet, though. I just kind of want to have you explain how it really works so that they realistically know this is what to expect, this is what I have to do.
Yep. I find that the more people you help, the more information you share and provide, the more people talk about you and say, hey, that's the guy you want to go to. Example is the stuff I share on Facebook, on Twitter, whatever. I just got a call this morning from someone who saw a free speech that I posted online. He said, hey, I really like your stuff. I'm a speaking bureau. I'm putting together this 25-city tour for a big company. Would you want to be interested in possibly doing it? That's a huge amount of money if I get that contract. All for just offering something for free, offering something nice.
Where did you get this whole notion of giving things for free? Like, who influenced you to do that?
I remember when I was just starting out, there were always some people who were more than giving of their time. I think that was key, knowing that they would listen to me and want to talk to me and not ask for anything in return. That had a big impact on me.
What do you want to be remembered for, though? Because you always kind of tell people be nice, and that's a really big thing I remember about you.
I think that it's not hard to be nice, and we expect to be treated like crap. So if you're just a little nice, that goes a tremendous long way.
When I think of customer service in almost any company, I don't expect niceness, especially like at the airports or airplanes,
Uh-huh.
Korean airline is amazing, though. Like, I've been on Korean airline. It blew my mind. I tell everybody about it.
Yeah, and it's really, when those little things happen to you, it's really those things you remember.
You started out from selling T-shirts, right? If I remember correctly.
Yeah, that was a sort of a one-time thing. I started out my career at America Online, and then when I left AOL, came back to New York, I had no money, and I figured a great way to – I came up with that idea of selling the shirts to make money, and that seemed to work really well.
Yeah, I'm just trying to figure out, like, on your whole path, at which moment did you really start thinking about this, be nice and give free things to get, the media exposure and, like, just to get people thinking differently? I
like to think I've always been nice. I think that the media exposure and everything else just sort of came from thinking differently and not being afraid of what other people might think of me.
That's a big one, though. Like, did you...
if you don't care what other people think of you, you can get a lot done.
That's true, though. Did you ever feel like giving up?
Oh, yeah, always. Every once in a while, there's like pardon the expression, there's an asshole out there who tries to tangle or whatever. But I think at the end of the day, the good people are the ones who will always succeed. I really believe that.
I think so, too. I mean, I think that's the biggest takeaway from this interview. As long as you're nice, giving great customer service.
Being nice is important. Don't be nice because you want to get something out of it. Be nice for the sake of being nice. That'll actually wind up getting you more out of it.
Yeah, because that's what I'm kind of thinking. Some of the listeners will be like, well, if I just act nicely, maybe I can get something. But that's not what we're talking about here.
No, it's not. It's, for me, the stuff that I get out of it is sort of a nice bonus. It's just, it's more of a way of life.
That sounds nice, like a way of life, just being nice. What's your typical day look like? Because you're busy. I know you got me coming out for a mastermind at 5 a.m.
Yeah, I'm a big believer in early mornings. I'm a big believer in not wasting time, using your time the best time to your advantage.
Yeah, I think that's great.
And so if that means getting up, I look at it this way. I could sleep in an hour more, or I could live my life an hour more.
I really like that quote. Yeah, this has been great. Can you tell people where they can find you? If you have anything coming out, a book or anything, or you just want to push something like shamelessly, this is the part where you do that.
Sure. I am at my website is simply shankman.com. My email is peter@shankman.com. Everything in the social sphere is some form of @PeterShankman or Peter Shankman or whatever. And if you're ever in New York City, find me and let's go for a run. Or if I'm ever in your city, we'll go for a run or a cup of coffee or something like that. I'm always up for that.
Yeah, it's going to be at 5 a.m. though, like probably.
Probably, yeah.
All right. Thanks a lot, Peter.
Hey, my pleasure.
Thanks for listening to the Smart Brand Marketing Podcast with Tom, the digital architect Liebelt. For more tips, tricks, and interviews, come visit smartbrandmarketing.com. That's smartbrandmarketing.com. And join the newsletter. It's free.